Hey guys, Jerome here. What's going on? Today I wanted to make a video on the 2015 Moto G 1 week after use. So I've had this phone now for actually a little over a week, and I just wanted to give my impressions, any quirks I've seen with it, pros and cons, that kind of stuff. If this is a phone that you might be interested in, hopefully this 1 week review will help you out. So to start off, I just wanted to talk about the specifications of the phone. So the phone is it's a 5-inch display. It's a 720p display, so it's not like a lot of the flagship phones now are a 1080p display, but this is a 720p display, and the display looks good to me. It's not like I'm looking at the phone and it's like it's not that the phone has a display where I'm disgusted with it or anything. The display is good. It's not something that I would notice unless I was looking at other phones. So it has a really good looking display. On the front here, it has a 5 megapixel front camera. On the back, well, even before I go to the back, it has 2 front facing speakers, which is great for watching like Netflix or YouTube or listening to music. It's a good experience instead of having it in the back or at the bottom, so it's nice to have 2 speakers up at the front. At the back there is a 13 megapixel camera. It actually uses the sensor from the Nexus 6, and in a previous video I said I was really surprised that they added that sensor in there, and honestly it's great that they put this sensor into the phone, because at the price for this phone you really can't beat it. Flash on the camera, has a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack on the top and a micro SD charger at the bottom, or connector or whatever. It also has a removable back, so if you remove the back there is a slot here for a micro SIM card and then another slot for a micro SD card, so you can expand memory on your phone. And you can, if I looked at the specs right, I think it takes up to a 32 gig internal memory or micro SD card. So it's a great way to add some space onto a phone if that's something you're looking for. The rest of the phone, so on the right side there's, your lock button, and then it has your rocker for up and down volume. The actual lock button here is like kind of, it has ridges on it, so like let's say you're at home or at the movies or something, and like you're trying to figure out which is the lock button or whatever, like you can feel it with your fingers. Like it's pretty obvious which one is the lock. So another nice touch from Motorola. Okay, so this phone is also customizable. I ordered mine on Motorola. Customizing your phone doesn't cost any extra, so that's a plus. The front comes in a white face or a black face. The back has multiple colors that you can pick. I picked the turquoise, obviously I picked the white in the front, and then the trim here, it goes around the camera and all the way down to the dimple. I just picked a silver to kind of match the sides here, but you can pick whatever colors you want. I think there are maybe 6 or 7, maybe more, I'm not sure. So pricing. So the phone comes in 2 variants for pricing. There is an 8 gig internal memory with 1 gig of RAM for $180, and then there is a 16 gig version, 16 gigs of internal memory and 2 gigs of RAM for $220, and that's the one I got. For an extra $40, I figured I would get double the internal storage, and having another gig of RAM I figured would be really helpful when I'm like multitasking. If I have a bunch of like windows open in Chrome and other apps opening. I don't have a 1 gig version to test to really see if the performance makes a difference, but I figure for $40 it was a good deal, so that's the one I got. Okay, so as far as performance goes on this phone, I use this phone primarily for GPS, for making phone calls, taking phone calls, sending texts, checking email, did I say that? Checking like apps like Instagram, watching videos on YouTube. I've done Netflix on it, and like for the most part, like I haven't noticed any lag at all. Nothing whatsoever. I don't really push this phone as hard because this is my secondary phone. I have a 2015 Moto X. That's my primary that I actually do a lot more use on. But I still use this phone a lot, and I haven't had any issues with it. It's been working pretty well for me, and at the price for $220 for 16 gigs of internal storage and 2 gigs of RAM is pretty good. Okay, so performance-wise, I have had no issues. The front-facing speakers are really good. They're loud. You know, I did a comparison with my 2015 Moto X, and these speakers sound a little tinnier, like metallic-y sounding, but if you didn't have another phone with you, you probably wouldn't even notice. Pictures come out really well. Pictures are fast. Opening the app is fast. It has the quick gesture features on the phone, which is really nice. So twist twice to... Hold on, guys. Hold on. I don't know if okay. Twist twice, there you go, to open up the camera. And then it has the flashlight feature, which you chop down twice to turn it on, and then chop down again to turn it off. Another good feature. Battery life, actually, that's the one thing I wanted to talk about. Battery life is really good on this phone. I don't know if it's because because the processor is not as demanding as like a flagship phone. I don't know if it's because it's a 720p display. It might be all of these things, but like I have had like a good experience with the battery, and so I've had probably over 4 hours of on-screen time, if not more. I really didn't do an in-depth with the battery on here, but the last couple days I was using this phone for my GPS, just my I mean, like I would use it if I got notifications or whatever, but I use this mostly for GPS. And this phone, believe it or not, I let it run for 2.5 days. So, what is that? 56 hours. Because I checked it just before I made this video. It ran for 56 hours. It had almost 4 hours of screen on time. It was 3 hours and 50 minutes, and it still had 3% left on the battery. And I used maybe like 3 hours worth of navigation with GPS on the entire time, with the screen on the entire time. You know, on my past video, I bought a car mount. And so because I've had the car mount, I've just been sticking it on and using it as GPS, and it's been great. No issues, and battery's been great on it. As far as like the feel in hand, it's a good feeling phone. It feels solid, it feels well built, at least to my standards it feels well built. It might be different if you're like holding an iPhone or, you know, something more premium. I know the 2015 Moto X actually feels a little better in hand than this, as far as like button travel, because I know on the side buttons here on my Moto X, the buttons feel a little more clicky, if that's a thing, but it's just, you could just feel it. But you know, it still works well. It's solid. Actually, the only gripe that I would have is the phone actually feels really light to me. I kind of like a heftier phone. I like to feel the weight on a phone, and it's not a bad thing. You know, light phones, there's nothing wrong with that either, but for me, that's just my preference. So that's really about it. Display is good, performance is good, camera works well, speakers are good. You know, going through apps, it uses a very stock version of Android. It's a very good phone. For the price, I don't do a lot of reviews on phones. I haven't gotten to test any other phones around this price range, but for $180, I would recommend this phone every single day. For $220, what I would do is I would probably recommend people to spend the extra $40 and get the $220 version, because for that extra $40, you really can't beat 16 gigs of internal memory and 2 gigs of RAM, and also the fact that you can add another 32 gigs of storage, which would give you 48 gigs to use. Well, not 48 gigs, because some is the operating system and all that kind of stuff. But good phone, customizable. Get at Motorola. I am not endorsing them. I'm just saying that this is a good product and I like it, and I would recommend it. So that's it. Tomorrow I will be doing a review, a 1-week review on the 2015 Moto X, so stay tuned. All right, guys, take it easy. Bye.